Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on if you are watching us live or the replay, and it also depends on where you are in the world. I'm Bernadette L. Harris. I'm the founder of this group, the Efficient CEO Movement, and I'm also the CEO of By the Book Accounting, also doing business as the BTB Advisory Firm, where we are committed to keeping small business in business. Excited about today's live because I'm now coining these lives as my 15 minutes of fire, where I'm just coming on and sharing some information with you to help you be better in business. The Efficient CEO Movement is about that, about helping you all be better in business. So I'm taking my 20 plus years of experience as an entrepreneur and pouring that into you, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes, my successes, my failures, my wins, and get to reaching your goals a lot faster. So today we're going to talk about selecting your winning advisory team. And when you are thinking about selecting your advisory team, the first thing that you have to do is you have to recognize that you need a team, right? And so in this entrepreneurial space, this can be a lonely place, especially if you are in a family where there are not a lot of entrepreneurs, or maybe the people who you have been surrounded by, maybe your friends or the people who are close to you, they're not entrepreneurs. And so entrepreneurship can be a little lonely. And so it is really important to be successful as an entrepreneur that you recognize the importance of having a team. Huge, huge, huge. I hear people say stuff like self-made, or they pull themselves up by their bootstraps and all of that. And I just don't believe in that. I believe that everyone who is successful, they're successful because they have a team. So the first thing or the first tip is, one, to recognize the need, right? And in recognizing the need that you need a team, is one, to understand that you can't do it alone. You shouldn't do it alone. And then the other part of it is really understanding and recognizing the value of your time. Your time is going to be better spent doing the things that you rock at, as opposed to doing some of the things that maybe you don't, right? Which leads us to my second point. And so when you are trying to select your winning team for your business, you got to have a come to Jesus meeting with yourself. And so it's not religious. So if you're not Christian, you don't believe in Jesus, that's fine. You still can have this meeting with yourself, because my definition of a come to Jesus meeting is when you get real with yourself, right? So you have that conversation with yourself and you just say, self, what am I good at? What am I not good at, right? And I say it's a come to Jesus meeting because this is a time when you may have to get vulnerable with yourself. It is definitely a time when you have to be honest with yourself, because a lot of times we just think that we got it going on and we can do all things, right? And the reality is that's not true. You can't do everything. There are some things that you are not good at. And there are those things that you're not good at, you need to recognize those things as that. And it is okay. I am not interested in wearing all the hats in my business. I am not interested in doing all the things in my business. In fact, the more I can hire or outsource to someone else, for me, the better, right? And so when you have this come to Jesus meeting with yourself, this is your opportunity to figure out, like, what are the things that I'm good at? What are the things that I'm not good at? And this helps you to get to the third thing that I want to give you. Is it helps you to figure out, who do I need on my team? And who you need on your team are the people who do the things that you don't do well, right? And so these are the people. You need an accountant on your team. And I'm not saying that just because I'm an accountant. You need an accountant on your team, and you need an accountant on your team day one. I hear people say stuff like, oh, I'm gonna hire an accountant when I start making money, or I'm gonna hire an accountant when I make X number of dollars. And the reality is, you shouldn't start your business without having an accountant on your team, because there are so many things that business owners do, mistakes that they make in the beginning stages of the business because they didn't have an accountant, because they are listening to social media, because they are depending on Google and not really understanding that, yeah, a part of that sentence is true, but there are some missing pieces to it. And so you need an accountant to help you kind of, it's almost like getting a prescription, right? So you could go to the store and buy like ibuprofen or naproxen or something like that. But when it's something serious, you need to go to the doctor so he can write a prescription, or she can write a prescription for your specific thing. And that's the same thing with accountants. You want to be able to get really specific on what it is that you want to need, right? So once you've identified the people that you need on your team, and you need an accountant, you need an attorney, you might need a coach, you might need a marketing person, right? So whatever those things are that you need, make your list, make it long, right? And then you need to prioritize that list, because chances are you're not going to be able to hire all those people at one time. But you definitely need to make sure that you at least have your accountant and your attorney on at the beginning to make sure all your stuff is tight and you don't have any issues when it comes to the IRS or when it comes to the law, right? And so you want to prioritize those things. And so once you've done that, once you've prioritized who you need, or you've decided who you need on your team, and the order that you're going to get these people on your team. Now let's talk about, how do we find them, right? How do we find the right people for the team? So the first thing that I would suggest is, when you're looking for the right people on your team, you want to ask for referrals. If you have entrepreneurs in your circle, if you know people, if you have mentors, if there are people that you look up to, people in your industry, you might ask them, who do you use? I've gotten so many clients from affinity groups, and affinity groups are groups of people they have something in common. They have a likeness. So there's a group of therapists, and they have a Facebook group. And I've gotten lots of referrals from that Facebook group, because somebody in the group will say, hey, I'm starting my practice and I'm looking for an accountant to help me with my practice. Does anybody have any referrals? And once they say that, then my name gets thrown in the chat along with a whole bunch of other accountants, right? So you want to ask for referrals, whether it is people who are in your affinity group, or if they're people in your entrepreneurial circle. Ask for referrals. And when I ask for referrals from my friends, my colleagues, I don't just say, hey, do you know somebody who does XYZ? After they say that, then I say, well, what do you like about working with them? And what do you dislike about working with them? Because this is important information for me, because the person that I'm asking, I know them, right? And so I know them, I respect them. And if they say to me, oh, I like this, I like that, or I don't like this and I don't like that, chances are, if it's something that I know is going to bug me, it's probably not a good idea for me to even reach out to that person, right? So when you ask for referrals, don't just ask for the person, but also ask a little bit more. Ask some more questions. What do you like about working with them? What do you dislike about working with them? Then after you've gotten the referrals, maybe you get multiple people, do some research, right? So check their receipts, right? That's the new thing that we say, right? Do you have receipts? Receipts is evidence that you've helped other people. Receipts can be testimonies. It could be people giving you reviews on Google or on Facebook or on LinkedIn. Is anybody saying anything good about you, right? Because one thing that we know is true, that when something is good, we tell people, right? I know I am. I'm that person. I am. If I go to a good restaurant, I'm telling people. If I watch a a good movie, I'm telling people. If I listen to a good book, I love audiobooks. If I listen to a good book, I am telling people, right? And so you want to check them out to see if they have receipts. Is anybody saying anything good about you? Are you making a difference in other people's lives? Are you really helping small business owners? Do you work with people like me in my industry or in my stage of my business, right? So you want to look for receipts. You want to look for experience. Now, I know we all had to start somewhere. I did, in 21 years, almost 21 years ago when I started my practice, somebody had to trust my little young butt with their stuff. And so I understand that sometimes people may not have years and years of experience, and it just depends on where you are in your business, because they may have the education, or maybe they don't have the experience in their business, but they have experience in the industry. And so I don't want to discount the fact that everybody can't have 20 years of experience, because there are some really awesome people who just started their practice 5 years ago. So experience, kind of take it with a grain of salt. There are some benefits to working with somebody with 20 years of experience, right? And I'm just saying that for myself. I'm not, but at the same time, there are also some costs of working with somebody with 20 years of experience, because somebody that just got started might be a little cheaper than somebody like me who's been in the game for 20 years. And so you want to think about those things too. And then the last thing that I would suggest is, after you've asked for referrals, after you've done your research, then I want you to have a conversation with them. It could be a conversation, an interview, a discovery call, whatever the case may be. But this is a chance for you to get on the phone or Zoom, whatever, with this person to check them out. This is the fit check. This is a check to see if you're good for them, if they're good for you, and if you guys are going to be able to work together, right? And so one thing that I would suggest is, when you schedule a discovery call with somebody, don't automatically assume that you just going to automatically work with this person, because they might not like you, or they might not be feeling you, right? Or you might not be feeling them. And so that's the opportunity to kind of check it out. You check out their energy. You check out to see if there's a connection. Like when it comes to your accountant, you're going to want a connection, right? Because this is a very intimate relationship. It's going to be a bear all kind of situation. And so you want to make sure that you're showing it to the person that you really feel like they are going to have your best interest in mind. So you want to keep that in mind when you are looking for your team. So I'm wrapping this thing up. I'm so glad that you guys are here today. Again, whether you're live or watching the replay, wrapping it up. If you have questions, drop them in the comments, and I will come through the comments and answer them. Again, thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you guys next week.